everyone. Welcome to this week's Karma Cards. It's another big week in energy. The Schumann is booming today. Today's Wednesday, June 28th. The Schumann hit 82 hertz. So there's a big golden white bar in the Schumann resonance today. And all it's showing is that we're going to continue with this energy increase. So along with that happening, we also have a full moon coming up on July 3rd. That's going to be Monday, July 3rd. You can join the full moon spirit circle by going to this link. It's also in the description. You can join us at 6 p.m. Pacific time for full moon ritual release work and psychic Q&A if you're interested. But the energy is going to continue to increase, and it's like, it's like going up a mountain. It's like we climb up the mountain, we pause for a moment at this new level, and then we keep climbing. So you want to pay attention to those ascension symptoms you might be experiencing, right? So if you're feeling dizzy, if you're feeling nauseous, tired, swollen, brain fog for some people get really energized and they feel balanced. It just depends on where you are at in your own cycle. Staying hydrated, and especially at the cellular level, is so important because it's our cells that are really just spinning out this energy. So I highly recommend putting some Celtic sea salt in your water or even on your tongue, which I've been doing, and the tongue thing really works. So just like a crystal of salt on the tongue before you drink water, so all of the cell salts go right into your system, and I noticed it helps with the headaches for me. So I just wanted to share that with you. So the message from the team this week is all about understanding the way energy works in your life, that it's not ever present in every sector. And the way that they show me this is they're showing me a blueprint of a house. Like, when you were looking down on a house and you can see all the rooms. And they're like, imagine this blueprint of a house represents your life. And now put yourself, a little you, on this map. And you are now representing energy. So as you're walking around this house, you'll notice that you dwell in certain areas, but you move around. And the areas that are nearest to where you are the ones that are getting the most energy. And the other parts that are further away, the other rooms that are further away, aren't getting as much energy. In fact, they might even be considered dormant. You wouldn't feel energy in those spaces because you're over here. And they want you to understand that wherever you feel stuck right now in your life, there's probably an area, because everybody's got one, that we have a belief that our whole life should be, like all cylinders are firing. Every room should be lit up and energetic. And in reality, the way it works is, your energy is moving through sectors of your life. Maybe certain sectors are firing together, but you might find that not all are firing at the same time. And that's very natural. It's like the seasons, there's spring and, summer is like a season where things are booming, but it's not like that all year long. There's cyclical energy. And our belief that everything should be lit up and firing at the same time is a belief that can cause and create suffering, because energy is moving through your life, just like you as a little person on that map, moving through the rooms. The area in your life that feels dormant, or like there's not a lot of movement, or maybe there's a problem or things are feeling stuck and you're like, I'm not getting traction here. This is a dormant area for now. But you should know energy will be moving there soon, because that's the nature of energy, right? Nature abhors a vacuum. So when a vacuum exists, nature is naturally going to work to fill it. The message from the team is to relax into that information and understand that things will move when the timing is right, and that instead of using your energy and time to focus on the problem and the thing that's stuck and getting really worked up or bunched up over that, you should be looking at the other areas of your life and noticing where things are moving and blooming. Because again, energy is still, if you're alive, you've got energy, right? Like even if you're not alive, you still have energy. Energy is ever present. But what we're going to know is that just because an area of our life is dormant or feels stuck, that doesn't mean it's stuck everywhere. Our left hemisphere is a problem solver though. And if it's got an idea that, hey, there's a problem here, it gets fixated on it, and we could stay there and not see where things are working. So what this is a call to switch over to abstract thinking, to take a step back and look at the bigger picture and go, you know what? My relationship room is a little quiet right now, and that's where I feel things aren't working. But look at my career. Look at this thing blooming and taking off, right? If we can step out of that constant feeling of fear or lack, we'll see the abundance in our life. And when we get to the cards, you're going to see that there's so much abundance we can step into when we surrender our fear about what isn't working. And I think we hold that fear because we truly believe that if I just figure this out, I will get it to work. And what we forget here is that there is a much bigger power working within us and around us that's got time. There's a timing thing, and there's something to get here. There's either appreciation for what's going on or awareness, right? Of looking at, am I in a state of control, right? All of those things. There's so much to be gleaned in this moment if we only would surrender the fear and relax and realize that wherever things feel stuck or dormant is a point of rest for us. It's a rest recovery place, and it allows us to nurture ourselves in that moment. And so our team is asking us to notice this, notice where we're fixating on what doesn't work. And if we feel called to make a choice to surrender the fear and take the bird's eye view and look at our life in a bigger scope and go, okay, that part feels dormant, but where is the energy in this house of me, right? Where's the energy living? What rooms are lighting up right now? And let me focus in on that and enjoy that, because the energy will be moving. So rather than focus on what's not working, look and focus on what's working and enjoy the frequency increase you get by changing that perspective. Now let's take a look at this week's karma cards. All right, if you're new to karma cards, let me quickly show you how these work. I have 3 decks here: planets, signs of the zodiac, and the houses of astrology. And I've already asked my team, what is the message you have for us this week? And I've got 2 sets of answers, a set in red, which are action related, and a set in blue, which are outcome related. And the way that you play is you tune in with your beautiful intuition and feel what guidance you'd like this week. Do you want action? Do you want outcome? Or do you want both? And while you are choosing, let me tell you the timing for this reading. This reading is for June 28th through July 5th. And the flavor of this reading, we've got the moon, the emotional moon is coming in. So it's all about feelings in the sign of Scorpio, which is a water sign. So it's deep feelings. And feelings that are about, again, we're looking at power. So it looks like power is another topic again this week in the 6th house of health and service. All right, the spiritual action at this time is to defend the extraordinary power of prayer as a full-time job. So prayer, again, is about the asking. And I'm trying to think, like, how does this connect to the message that came through? Just that, prayer, it comes from a place of faith, and they're telling us to have faith that something is growing even in the places that feel stagnant or stuck in your life. And I've found that actually, for me, when I engage in prayer, especially around where I feel stuck or stagnant, that helps to call the energy in. Now, again, this is something that we need to practice surrendering to. We can't force it. We can't manipulate it. But I have noticed that when I've asked my highest power to come in and support me in areas where I feel like I need support, it starts to bring, it's almost like, hey, come over here, come to this room. And it helps to draw the energy in. But also, we don't ask enough as well. That's a thing my team says all the time. None of us ask enough. So where we feel stuck, where we feel like things aren't moving, or we feel powerless, we tend to sit in it and worry rather than reach out to our highest power and ask for assistance. And it's saying, this is that as we ramp up in energy, we're getting closer to the higher self of our own self, which is the closest part of us to source itself, right? We're the part of our being that is the absolute closest to source is through our higher self. And even though source is coming through all parts of us, there's nothing here that isn't connected to source. Connecting with that higher self gets you up and out of your mind. It gets you out of your brain. It gets you out of the limited thinking that you have. And it gets you into your higher mind that has the bigger view. And as a full-time job means this is a daily thing, right? Like it's time to really consider connecting with it daily. If you do, keep doing what you're doing. If you don't, continue, create that relationship. And it doesn't have to look like somebody else's relationship, right? So this is not me telling you how to do it or what it looks like. It's just me letting you know that that's the way forward. That's the way through, and that could create the shift that you're looking for. And in any case, it's creating a deeper relationship with your highest self. Mental action at this time: accept the highest and lowest aspects of serving. This reminds me of what they talk about in the Law of One, how everything has like a spectrum that it comes on, and you can, when you're in something like serving, you can be in the highest aspects of it or the lowest aspects. So serving can look like a duty, which is the lowest aspect, or an honor. And serving, of course, it has so many, it's literally how are you there for something other than yourself when we're looking at that serving of others, right? So I like to use this as an example because I always get stuck between honor and duty on this one, but like doing something like scooping the litter box, right? That is a service to another. I am in service to my cats. And when I look at it from the position of honor, what I see is I am so blessed to have these beautiful animals in my life that it is an honor to look after them and to do this work, even though it's, stinky and dirty. It is an honor to have it. There's the highest aspect. The duty aspect is I have to do. I mean, I know there's a double entendre there, but the duty part of it is this has to be done. It's gross. If I don't do it, it's obviously a bigger mess. So, doing it has to get done, but I don't appreciate it. And that's what a duty is we're looking at it like it has to get done, but I'm not appreciating it. I'm not seeing its value. When you are in service and you see the value, you've moved from duty to honor. And so that's what it's getting us to pay attention to, that everything in your life has that. When it comes to service, you're on that spectrum between I have to do this, but I don't value it, and I'm doing this because I value it. It's so valuable to me. And that it's a sliding scale, right? That we're not always in the same place. There are days where it's just duty, and there's days where it's a profound honor. And then there's something in between where you appreciate it but wish you didn't have to do it. And that's the scale of service. It's and you want to notice, how do you respond to service of others? Does it feel heavy and burdensome like a duty? I'm supposed to do this, but I'm not enjoying it. Or do you see the blessing in it, not only for someone else, but for you? And when you're there, that's the honor. And just paying attention that it's all included. And the action in and of itself has an impact, but how you feel about it raises the frequency or lowers the frequency of that action. Physical action at this time: let your feelings tell you how to control the situation and do it a little bit at a time. So here we are. Now we know where the power is coming in, that desire to have control over the situation. And I'm thinking back to the message from the team and how it's really about surrender. So what I'm getting in this reading about that is, if you pay attention to how you're feeling, whether you're in a place of I'm in a place of trust, I'm in a place of faith, or at the other extreme, I'm in a place of fear and worry, that's going to let you know if you are already surrendered and all you need to do is nurture, or if it's time to let go, choose to let go of the fear, choose to trust, And those are the actions that you need to take. And again, this it a little bit at a time, right? So this is fear is one of those things that's tricky to shift. Sometimes it's like a slingshot, meaning as soon as you figure out your way in, you can let it go. It's just gone. Other times it's an incremental creeping in. It's like I just take a little step forward and I'm choosing to let go of my fear. Okay, for the most part, I feel a little better, but I'm still a little afraid. But I choose and I'm taking little steps. In this case where you're really focused on the problem or the stress that you're in, you might not have the slingshot effect. You could. I'm sure there's a way you could unlock the belief around it and just slingshot. But in this reading, it's saying just a little bit at a time. Just every time you catch yourself bracing for something, it's as simple as going, okay, I'm bracing for this thing. I don't have to brace because it hasn't happened. It's in my mind and it might not happen. There's a lot of things that we are afraid of happening that don't happen. So I could choose in this moment to relax. And that might be that incremental step that helps you slowly let go of the fear and the worry and trying to focus so hard on finding the solution and allow you to drop into it. All right, so now let's look at outcomes for the moon in Scorpio in the 6th house of health and service. The spiritual action at this time is the nurturing of purification to resurrect service to others. You know, what's really interesting is one of the ways that helps you let go of fear is when you can actually focus on someone else. Right? I was just reading someone talking today about like talking on stage and how the nervous energy can be dissipated by, instead of focusing on you and you're talking and people looking at you, focusing on them and what you're giving them and where you're leading them, right? So that switch in focus many times is enough to get you out of fear and worry. And you can do this with your life as well. If you find that you're sitting there going, what's happening? Why isn't this working for me? What's wrong with me? You can hear the me. Then the focus has gone so far inward and there's nothing you feel like, there's no answer coming. It's like, it's because it's stuck, right? But if you can take that focus and start focusing out on others, well, what could I do for someone else? How could I make something easier for someone? How could I make something more enjoyable? How could I increase this sense of contentment for someone else? As you redirect that energy, that creates the purification that you're looking for. That creates it's purifying. The fear can't be focused on while you're focusing on how you could be of service to someone else. And the beauty of it is, as soon as we realize we have something to give, we are abundant in that. Whether it's I have patience to give, I have love to give, I have money to give, I have whatever it is to give, I have knowledge to share, whatever that is. As soon as you focus on what it is you can give to someone else, you are abundant in it. And you can't be in that space of lack and fear and restriction and abundance at the same time. They cancel each other out. So if you find that you are still stuck, you're still thinking about fear, you're still thinking about what's not working, take a moment to see if you can redirect that energy outward. What can I do for someone else here? How can I be of service to someone else? Even if it's just listening to a friend. That is you putting your attention on something else, giving energy to something else, and it is allowing this other part, this thing that you're so, you're worried about, to soften and surrender. It ceases to be an issue because you're in a state of abundance in some other way. All right, mental outcome at this time: feelings caused by the secrets of what is good for us. Right, and so isn't it interesting that the 6th house represents the house of health and service to others? What it's showing us is that from an ancient time, we understood that our own health and well-being was connected to how we could be there for someone else. And so, again, as we take this tactic of, rather than me sinking into myself and fixating here, I'm going to take this attention and I'm going to focus it out and focus it on what I can do somewhere else. There's so much that comes into that, right? So many times that awareness of how good life is comes in when you recognize you have something to give. Your perception of your life and your world shifts when you're in a state of service to others, and it can literally be an energy lifting up, right? Because it is naturally a higher vibrational state to be in a place of compassion, care, and empathy for someone outside of yourself. It raises your frequency. So of course you're going to feel better. And that's the secret, right? The secret is we're all one and we're all connected. And when you feel that low vibrational energy, what you can know is there's some kind of disconnect going on. There's just, you're not as plugged in as you could be. And one of the easiest ways to plug back in is to consider, how can I show up? In my journal every morning I write, may I be of service to others today in whatever way God sees fit. And so I'm allowing myself to be open to being of service to others without trying to force it or manufacture. I'm open to the opportunity. And that's simply one of the ways that you can find those opportunities, is simply to just be open and say, I'm ready to be here. And use me in whatever way you will, right? Use me in a way that would lift others up and lift myself up at the same time. Physical outcome at this time: reactions resulting from the power of your work. So one of the themes that's come up in this particular card reading in relation to the message that the team brought is that there are ways to actually create movement and energy into that place of your life that feels like it's at a stuck or standing still place. One of the ways is to allow it, to surrender to it, and to just be in a place of rest. Other ways are to call in for help, right? Pray for the help for this area to be opened up or released or bring attention, and also to stop focusing on it and focus on something else. Focus on where you feel you can be of service, which will allow you to tap into solutions. Even though it's solutions for others, it's still, we're all one, right? So as you're tapping in, recognizing, hey, I can be your solution, you're opening up the energy of solution within yourself. So there's so much movement that actually gets created simply by getting out of focusing on being stuck, and rather redirecting that energy to focus on, I can be helped and I can be helpful. That's a great mantra. I can be helped and I can be helpful. And as we focus on this, we're going to call that energy from those other rooms of our life, and we're going to call it over, right? Again, without doing it in a way where we're trying to manipulate that energy. Because again, imagine this, right? That you're calling, you want energy over here, but you're actually having a great moment right here. Do you really want to siphon that energy away from this great moment? Or do you want to encourage it to, complete the energetic cycle here and then move over, right? So these are just things to contemplate. It's a very emotional week, according to the cards. The emotions are going to direct us, and our sense of service is going to be sort of our saving grace at this time, moving us from one energy state to another, allowing us to move up higher in frequency simply by focusing on that we can be helped and we can be helpful. And with that, I hope you have a beautiful week. Mwah.